Hey guys, so chapter 1016 of One Piece just came out, and well, I don't really have anything much to preface it on, so I'll just kind of jump right into it this time. Um, we kind of start off the chapter checking in on the Flower Capital, which is the first time it's happened in a while. I think the last time was, I think it might have been before chapter 1000. I could be wrong. That sounds right to me though. Yeah. Um, but maybe it was a little bit after. It was definitely a good while ago either way. So it definitely would have been around the chapter 1000 mark. But yeah, this time we actually check in on named characters. Unlike last time, I think it was just kind of random inhabitants, being Tenkuyama Hutetsu and Otoko. Who, I should add, in a recent SBS has been revealed to be adopted or have been adopted by Yasuie. Which, I mean, I don't know if that'll have any impact on the story or if it's just kind of random trivia. I don't see how that would have an impact, but just in case you didn't know, that's a thing now, I guess. But yeah, I guess the really big takeaway of this is that they see like a bonfire in the center of the festival, and they're like, I bet. Toko says, "Oh, it's really beautiful," and Hitetsu says, well, Toko says it's beautiful, and that she hopes her dad can see it. And then Hitetsu says he's sure that he can because it's such a clear sky out, and it being a clear sky is kind of important for two big reasons. One, because they kind of have a bit of a floating island coming their way. So clear sky might be ideal to be on the lookout for that. But also because clear skies are good, rather conducive to Sulong forms. So possibly we see return of Sulong Carrot, Sulong Wanda, maybe even Sulong Inarashi Nekomamushi. Right now we do see a shot of Onigashima floating again, and it does still seem cloudy where it is currently at the very least. So if they are going to get another Sulong transformation during the raid, then it probably won't happen for a while, but we'll have to see. We do get another CP0 scene, pretty much the same as last time, just checking in on them. They're kind of just third-party observers of the battle, and we get another chance to like visualize what the what the numbers are via the Go board that they have set up. And we actually a solid confirmation for how many people defected from the Beast Pirate side due to Queen's shenaniganry on the festival hall, and the number is actually 4,000, which is pretty significant, considering that before the switch, they said that the samurai only had 3,000 people left, so more than doubling on what they already had left, and they only had like 5,400 to begin with. That sounds right. So yeah, they're now at 7,000. So they're while the Beast Pirates have suffered, pretty significant losses, the Samurai Alliance side is now at a greater number than they initially started. So, I mean, that's pretty good going at the moment then. But other than that, and it also seems like Tama is about to make her big announcement on the festival hall, effectively converting all the gifters that have taken part of her Kibidango, which I imagine will definitely get another significant number on the Alliance side. And even if it's not a significant number, gifters are still technically stronger than the average soldier, even if they do look goofy. So it should be a pretty good help. But that's kind of skipping past some stuff. Before we get there, we have a scene with Bao Huang. She got the news that Momonosuke and Shinobu ripe jutsu'd off of Onigashima. Shinobu used her devil fruit to just kind of melt a corner of the island off, and they started falling. And last chapter I mentioned I wasn't entirely sure that was happening because it was in an oddly small panel for such a big event, because Momonosuke is kind of the centerpiece of the entire Alliance side. He's kind of like the king in the game of chess, I guess. He's not really doing much, but he's the most important piece. Yeah, something like that. I don't play chess, at all. If that didn't make sense at all to anybody who actually knows chess, I'm sorry. Um, but yeah, so yeah, she goes to make that announcement to effectively kill the morale of the Samurai Alliance. But before they can do so, Usopp and Nami and Tama appear behind her. And just before we get that scene, we also get confirmation that it is Zeus inside Nami's climate tech now, and that he can kind of control it at will. We see him kind of extend out. It was already able to extend, but he seems to have greater control over it. How it extends, he's kind of like curving around and growing certain parts and whatnot. So yeah, that's like a thing. But also, when they're about to get behind Bao Huang, Ulti shows back up, which I kind of expected, even though she took kind of a brutal hit from Big Mom last time we saw her. But yeah, she takes the opportunity to get another big headbutt off on Usopp. And I gotta just appreciate how much of a tank Usopp is. Yeah, he can take for one of the physically weakest, if not, he is technically the weakest Straw Hat. I think Oda himself stated at one point that he always intends for Usopp to be the weakest Straw Hat, just for whatever. But he can, at the very least, take quite a few hits. So I got to give him credit for that, because he is still conscious after another headbutt, and we already know he's taken at least like 2 of those in the previous fight. But yeah, Ulti takes Tama from Usopp after he knocks him down. Nami goes in for a swing with a climb attack, and Zeus turns into like molds the shape of the climb attack into like a big spiked club type thing. I guess more or less similar to Kaido's Kanabo in a way. I'm not really sure if that's the same thing, but whatever, I'll go with it. But yeah, and it doesn't really do much to Ulti, because as we know, Ancient Zoan's pretty durable, pretty strong as compared to other your average Zoan. So yeah, and Zeus mentions, you can't really injure him from the outside, but she took a pretty good beating internally earlier, so if we can damage her from the inside via lightning, then that would be able to defeat Ulti. Which they do. The only roadblock was that she had Ulti, and it's kind of a large area of effect attack. What did I say? I meant to say Ulti has Tama. I think I said she has Ulti, which that didn't make sense. Ulti has Tama, and since the lightning is kind of a large area effect attack, Usopp uses a big pop green to grow a bunch of grass, just separate Tama and Ulti real quick, and then Nami uses a big lightning bolt to attack Ulti, which at first she dodges out of the way of, but then Zeus, who's in the thundercloud form, kind of moves the lightning around. So effectively, her lightning attacks have now got like a homing feature, because Zeus is more or less controlling them, which is good, because the only real bad thing, Nami can dish out a lot of damage is the thing, but her attacks are, she's not super physically powerful, so her attacks are like easier to dodge to these more higher level combatants. So yeah, having the ability to actually have greater accuracy on the lightning attacks is pretty big, and this does, for the time being, take down Ulti again, which I don't know how to feel about that, because it seems too quick, because it's like Big Mom did 90% of the work, and then Nami did like the final hit, and that doesn't really feel like the impression I'm getting from this raid so far is that every Straw Hat's going to get like a decent fight, but with both Page 1 and now Ulti kind of getting sidelined pretty easily, and Usopp didn't even have anything to do with Page 1 getting taken down. Nami at least got the final hit in her case with Ulti. But yeah, does seem a little bit quick. So I don't know. This could maybe mean that they're going to get back up. It could maybe mean that the raid will fail and they'll have to try again, and then we'll get the proper fights between Ulti, Nami, Page One, Usopp, or maybe the big mom pirates will finally show up, and their Nami and Usopp's actual matchup will be against members of the Big Mom Pirates. I couldn't tell you. Either way, they do take out Ulti. Bao Huang, seeing this, is like, oh, two of the Flying Six have been, or two of the Toby Ropo have been defeated. How could this be? And then she she has the mic on for the Marys or whatever. So it gets broadcasted to the entirety of Onigashima, and while her intentions were to lower the morale of the Samurai Alliance, she now ends up lowering the morale of the Beast Pirate side instead. And we see all the Toby Ropo also react to that. And interestingly enough, Sasuke has gone back to his human form. The last time we saw him, he was still in a Triceratops. Maybe next time we'll see him, he'll be back in Triceratops again. Maybe he just Oda just drew him like that temporarily to just get his facial reaction on that. Because I imagine it is easier to convey emotion as a human than a Triceratops. But who knows? But yeah. Usopp then gets new Bao Huang with one of his big Venus flytrap things. And then Tama goes to make her announcement to the festival hall, which will assumedly convert all of the gifters to their side. All the gifters that have eaten Kibidango, that is. So yeah, which is when we get the final scene of the chapter, and probably the most interesting. For two pretty big reasons. We finally get, actually, I would say there's three pretty good reasons. This is a very interesting scene. We get finally the face-off between Yamato and Kaido. Kaido goes into his dragon form, gets up to the roof where we saw Yamato was last chapter, and then goes immediately into his hybrid form, and they start to fight. The first thing that's interesting is that Kaido mentioned specifically that he's in Wano, that he did not leave Wano because it is special in some way. What that means, I don't know. The two theories that I heard, these aren't my theories, I should preface by saying that. I heard these on the internet or read them somewhere, is that one, since Kaido obviously knows about Joy Boy, and probably knows the theory or the prophecy that Joy Boy will eventually come to Wano to liberate it. I think it might be reasonable to assume that the whole reason he's staying here is so he can have that legendary fight with Joy Boy eventually. Because we do see that he enjoys or he values a good fight very highly. So that could be a good reason. I think that's the most logical. But on the more speculative side, there's the theory that Wano is in fact a giant turtle. And that might seem a little crazy at first. But the whole thing is that I first heard this on a Mr. Moore stream, if you're familiar with him. And I think the thing is in like Hinduism, I want to say. The whole thing is like the world is on the back of an elephant, and that elephant is on the back of a turtle. Which we already have a world on the back of an elephant in the form of Zo. So a larger nation in Wano being on the back of a giant turtle would be pretty fitting, especially since we know that Zo and Wano have some pretty deep ties through the Kozuki clan. So I think that'd be pretty interesting. Although I think this theory was most popular during like 2 chapters ago when Momo was hearing Luffy's voice for the first time, but we didn't know it at the time. So people thought, oh, maybe he's hearing the giant turtle. But since we've now discovered that it was in fact Luffy, maybe that theory has lost a bit of credibility. But I think that would just be interesting, just because that opens a lot of potential avenues for a whole lot of things. Possibly Momonosuke being an ancient weapon, being in a similar way that Shirahoshi is able to control these the Neptunians or the Sea Kings. Momonosuke could be able to control Zunisha and this large turtle and other large beasts if there are any. Which it's kind of, it would be cool. I would really like that. It would be a little disappointing just because it's pretty much the exact same thing as Poseidon. If he is, well, obviously we'd be assuming in this case that he'd be Uranus. But yeah, it would be remarkably similar to Poseidon, but I'm not sure if I want another Poseidon. More or less, I'd kind of want something unique to be the third weapon, but who knows, man. We'll have to see. The second thing that is very interesting is that Yamato once again says that he is going to sail the seas with Luffy, and I mean we've already gotten before that he wants to be part of Luffy's crew in some capacity, but just reaffirming it, I think it's interesting. I don't think we've ever had a Straw Hat that has so strongly desired to join the crew prior to joining. I mean, when they first met Usopp meant offered to be the captain, but they quickly shut him down. And eventually, they had to actually invite him on. He wasn't like begging to come on or anything. Brooke asked if he could join, but that was kind of just casual at the very end. And I think Robin is the only one who was just like completely uninvited. Actually, like sought out the Straw Hats to join them. She kind of just showed up on the ship, and they kind of just invited him, or invited her. But yeah, if the fact that Yamato wants to join the crew so strongly may be evidence against him joining, but we'll have to see. And the last thing is that when they finally fight and they clash, we get a pan out to the entirety of Onigashima, and we see the black streaks of lightning coming off where they clashed. And typically, this indicates a clash of Conqueror's Haki, which would indicate that Yamato has Conqueror's Haki. And, if he is the son of Kaido, I don't think that's terribly far-fetched. Especially since we saw him use Thunder Bagua against Ulti back when Yamato was first introduced. And we know now that when Kaido uses Thunder Bagua, he infuses Kanabo with Conqueror's Haki. So possibly the same thing happening with Yamato. It's hard to say for sure, but I don't think that's terribly out of the realm of possibility to be the case. But yeah, with that being said, I don't think I have anything else to say on this chapter, so see ya.